I'm going to compare a number of award search tools to see which one can get this family the best deal for this coming summer. At Frequent Miler, we often talk about great value awards that are possible to book with your points and miles. But if you've searched for award flights, especially business class flights to popular destinations in Europe or Asia, you've probably come to the conclusion that finding these great deals is not that easy. One thing that can help a lot are tools. There are lots of award search tools that make it pretty easy to find good awards. What I'm going to do today is an experiment. I came up with a scenario. The idea is that there's a family of four that wants to plan a summer vacation to Europe. They're open to going just about anywhere in Europe. They live in the Denver area and they want to fly business class there and back. Of course, they'd prefer not to have too many stops along the way, and they want to fly in relative luxury as well, while paying fewer points. So I'm going to compare a number of award search tools to see which one can get this family the best deal for this coming summer. I'm going to be comparing a tool called AwardTool, another one called PointsYeah, also Roame.travel, and finally Seats.aero. Those are the four I'm going to be looking at. There are other award tools out there, but these are the ones that have a lot of capabilities, including the ability to set alerts so that if you can't find the award flight that you want right now, you can set up an alert to email you when one becomes available. To me, I think that's just the minimum required functionality that any good award tool has to have, because it's so hard to find flight awards that meet your needs just at the moment that you're searching for these flights. So setting alerts so that you'll be alerted when they become available is really, really important. All right, let's dig in and start looking first at AwardTool. All right, this is a tool called AwardTool, and I have the pro version, the paid version of this tool. All the tools we're going to look at have free versions as well, but they're not as capable. And in order to give a real apples to apples comparison across all these, I have the pro versions of all of them that we're going to use. But I'll point out when there are features that I think you could use even from the free version, and that would get you pretty far. All right. So AwardTool, like many other tools, has a live search capability where you could put in where you want to fly from, and in this case it's Denver, and where you want to fly to. Now the problem right now is we're open to anywhere in Europe, but it won't let me type in Europe as a destination here. Um, it wants specific airports. Now I could put AwardTool will let me put a whole list of airports here, but there's another feature that I want to use instead, and that's called Panorama. And they also have a similar feature called Explore. Either one can do what we want here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start the search from Denver and put in that we want to go to Europe. And I'm going to be looking one way at first for all of these searches. So we'll see what's the best way to get to Europe and then separately how to get back. With this hypothetical family, let's say that the kids get out of school around June 20th. So they're willing to leave anytime from the evening of June 20th to anywhere later in the summer, as long as they could be back by, let's say, the third week in August. So we'll say June 20th. And they want to stay in Europe about anywhere from a week to 10 days. So if they have to get back by, let's say, the 24th of August, then the outbound flight should be, I'd say, no later than August 16th. I forgot a few parts to this first. I had this defaulted to first class. We want to change that to business and first class. Then the other thing I want to do is tell it how many seats we need. In this case, we need 4 seats. Now this panorama feature, what it's doing is it's using pre-cached award flight data. So, award flights that they found in the past and have cached over the last several days. And that's what's being searched right now. And supposedly, with AwardTool, when we find good options, they will supposedly refresh as we're watching. I can't tell whether that's actually happening here or not. The best deal it seems to have found is 120,000 points per person. Yeah, this is set to lowest points. That's a lot. That's more than I want to spend for a one-way flight. I want to find something, let's say 70,000 points or less, before we look at booking anything like that. So that's interesting. It looks like the Panorama feature did not find anything from Denver for that whole time. So when that happens with a tool, what you might want to do is not look from Denver, but look from anywhere in the US or maybe even Canada. So let's do from North America. And the idea is that if there's a really great flight to Europe, then what we can do is separately book positioning flights to get to the departure airports. Let's see what it comes up with there. Okay. Well, that's really weird. So it says no options matching your filters. Um, so, I mean, this should have been a broader search than the original one that was Denver to Europe, but somehow it couldn't find anything from North America to Europe. So, let's move on to the next tool. Each of these tools have a panorama-like feature, the ability to search across cache results quickly. And so we'll do that first before we look at to kind of drill down at specific flights. I'm going to look at Roame.travel next. And so Roame, their interface is a little different. What they've done is they've integrated their regular search with their cache search, at least the interface of it, where you put in your information. So here, where it says SkyView, that tells you when SkyView is on that you're searching cached results. So I want to search for 4 adults from Denver to Europe, and we'll do June 20th to So August 19th is as far as this tool let me search at once with the SkyView, but that's pretty good. I mean, that's really close to where we wanted to go. So we'll go ahead and do that. And it says no cache flights for your search criteria. All right. Now let's go wider and do North America to Europe. Same dates, same business class for 4. So at first I was pretty excited because I saw Qatar business class, which is one of the best, one of my favorite business class products you could fly. But the prices are 150,000 points per person. So that's a lot more than I want to spend on this. It's sorted by last updated. Let's try sorting by lowest points. Same thing, 150,000. All right, so Rome's SkyView didn't find anything. Now let's move on to PointsYeah. PointsYeah, their version of the cache search is through flight deals. Here, it's just pretty similar to those other two tools. You could say, I want to fly from Denver to Europe, and let's set the dates. This one will let me search out as far as August 18th, which is, I think, still pretty good. And I want to, let's see, I want to find out how to make it look for business. Okay, so business and first by deselecting those two. And then I want to be able to tell it that there are 4 people. Okay, number of seats. Type in 4. Apply. Let's see if it comes up with anything from Denver. So we have Denver to Milan. Ooh, that sounds interesting. Now it's 88,000 United miles. That's a bit over the 70 or 75,000 or so per person I wanted, but still, that would be attractive until you see that. Wait, there are 2 stops here. That doesn't sound good. Let's see what else is on here. These are pricey. Can I? Let me change the maximum points to I'll make 90,000 the maximum. I know I said I want a maximum of 70,000, but um, let's see what shows up. Okay, so now we're seeing some more interesting things. Let's try. So we've got Denver to London. Oh boy, but huge taxes. Do you see that? $737 to fly business class from Denver to London. So let's limit the max taxes and say it can't be more than $400 per person. I guess I have to press yeah again to make that take effect. Okay. So now we have one that's 79,500 miles and only $5.60 to go to Rome with just one stop. Not too bad. We've got Denver to Athens, Denver to Frankfurt, Denver to Frankfurt for around 75,000 points for one of these. Some more 88,000 or 80,000 point options. All right, now I'm seeing some 70,000 point options down here. We've got Denver to Frankfurt. Let me see if I can do, I'm going to move the max points to 70,000 and apply. And that applied instantly. I didn't have to press the yeah button for that one. Okay, so seems to be quite a few to Frankfurt, which um, probably not the most exciting city, but look at this. There's Paris, August 2nd, um, for 62,000. There's Paris for 66,000. Paris for 55,000 Alaska mileage plan miles. Let's take a look at this and see if we can still do this. There, it looks like there's a couple dates available. Oh, shoot. That's mid August. That's really getting out there, though. Let's see if there's anything earlier. Well, all right. Let's go back to American Airlines and see what we can do with this Denver to Paris. Let's see if this is still available. This is goes Saturday, August 2nd through Charlotte for only 62,000 American Airlines miles. I'm going to check with real-time search and see if this is still available. All right, at first glance, it looks like that flight is still available, but you'll see up here the search did not carry over the 4 passengers. So I'm going to fix this search. 1 passenger, change that to 4. You could put in the age of the children if some programs have different costs for children of certain ages. So anyway, I'll say there's 2 that are between 2 and 11. We'll rerun this search now. So this is doing a range from July 30th to August 6th. That's great. Denver to Paris. Okay, it's come back with results, and look, it found an Alaska mileage plan option for 55,000 points. Denver to Charlotte to Paris on August 4th. That sounds really good. One of the things I like about this is if you have American Express membership rewards, as I'm recording this, there's this backdoor option where you could transfer your membership rewards points to Hawaiian, and then Hawaiian lets you freely transfer those points to Alaska. So if you don't have Alaska miles, you can get them indirectly if you also have membership rewards points. But that's right now. Sometime later this year, this is in 2025, that trick probably won't work anymore. And then we'll be limited to a few different ways to get, well, we're limited to transferring from built points to Alaska, which is another current option. Or this same flight, I'm sure, can be booked with American Airlines miles. By booking with American Airlines miles, you can get those American Airlines miles by transfer from Citibank, hopefully. That's something that we expect to be coming soon, sometime this year, hopefully. If not in 2025, we expect it in 2026. So depending on whether you can get Alaska or American Airlines miles, you should be able to book this flight I'll show you American. Let's let's switch this to American only and apply. You can see that the American Airlines flight, it has the same flights available, I believe. They just cost a little bit more with American miles than with Alaska miles. You can book either way. Let's see if this will take me to American Airlines to verify that this is actually bookable. All right, yeah, there it is. I don't know if it knows how many people we have. So let's go to new search and just check that out. One way from Denver to CDG. I think it was August 3rd. For adults. Yeah, we'll just say adults for now to make it easier. Business class, all airlines, search. All right. So there you go. It's totally bookable online, and I'm sure we'd see the same thing with Alaska that you can book it online, and it looks like it's available a number of days. In fact, if we go to the calendar and we'll restrict it to one stop or fewer, and it's already set to business or first class. You could see there are several days beginning of August, one later in August that's available. Let's go back to the previous month. Nothing in July. That's not too surprising. Okay. Now, the one we haven't looked at yet is Seats.aero. Seats.aero has an explore feature that's similar to the other tools where they have those the ability to search their pre-cache results. That's what Seats.aero's explore function does. But in Seats.aero's case, you have to pick which program you want to search. So, for example, to find those American Airlines flights, you might want to search the American Airlines program or even the Alaska Mileage Plan program to find those particular flights. But to show you how to use this, I'm looking at the Air France KLM Flying Blue Explore. Now, to do what I'm going to do now, you need the paid version. You could do some of this with the free version, but you can't look more than 60 days into the future with that one. So I switched this to full year. Um, I'm going to say I want to go from North America to Europe. Now I'm going to set the minimum number of seats to 4. And we'll sort by business class. And you can see there's a number of nonstop flights from North America to Europe that start at 60,000 points. But let's now look specifically from Denver. This is also a pro feature only, the ability to filter to a particular airport. Now we can see there is one flight in February that's only 60,000 points, so that's nice. But there might be flights that have stops, so let's, nope, there aren't. When we scroll down, if there were any in blue, that would have shown that there were flights available with a stop along the way to Paris, but there's none in blue. So that's all we've got for Air France Flying Blue. You could repeat all this with each of the many programs that Seats.aero supports, or you could go to the search function. And what you could do here is, so you want to start in Denver, and that you want to fly to Europe, EUR. These are a collection of large airports in Europe that Seats.aero has predefined. And then to do the departure date, what you want to do is pick a date kind of in the middle of the summer when you're willing to leave. And I'll show you why you want to pick a middle date, because Seats.aero has the ability to do plus or minus a certain number of days, and it doesn't, because it doesn't let you just set a start date and end date. So it's a little tough to kind of figure out exactly what you want to put there. I'm just going to do 28 days. The more you do, the less likely it's going to be able to come back with all the results you want. I don't want to limit to only direct flights because we want, one-stop flights to be considered. I do want to limit to where there's less than $400 in fees. I want to set the minimum available seats to four. And it's worth noting that that doesn't necessarily work with every single program, that setting of four. So you will have to verify the results afterwards, but it's a great start. And you want to filter to business or first class and search. Seats.aero searches both its cached results and does a live search if it can. If the criteria is narrow enough to do a live search, it does that while you wait. Let's take a look at these results now. We'll sort by business class. And you could see for nonstop flights, that's what's in green here. There's nothing within the criteria that we wanted. But if we page forward a bit until we get to the blue ones, then we start seeing some one-stop or multi-stop options. Here we're seeing 70,000 points to Zurich and 78,000 to Frankfurt with different plans. I'm surprised it did not see the same American Airlines options as we saw before. It doesn't seem to be searching that. So let's now try directly Denver to Paris. All right, results are in. Now let's sort by business class. And you can see that the best non-stops are 111,000 points one way, but that we start to see those 55,000 point options with a stop. Okay, so that's consistent with what we saw before. I'm not sure why these didn't show up when I searched to all of Europe. That surprises me. So we now know that there are decent flights to Europe, to Paris in particular, in early August. Now I'm going to go back to each tool and see if there's anything even better that is worth considering now that we've decided we want to go to Paris in the middle of the summer. Now, one of the things that AwardTool can do that's really cool is search over a very wide range of dates, especially if you know exactly which origin and destination airport you want to go to. So we're going to go from Denver to Paris. Actually, I'll do Paris all airports. And I'm going to switch cabins to business and first class, number of people to four, and we'll set the date range. I can do 32 days with this one. So I'm hoping that we're gonna find something from mid-July. So I'll start July 15th and search all the way to August 15th and search. All right. So now we're seeing some results that look pretty similar to what we saw before with 55,000 points with Alaska mileage plan. Interestingly, it's showing these as first class flights. I expect that they're probably actually business class, maybe first class from Denver to Charlotte. So that is regional first class. So you can change the view within AwardTool to see it in different ways. And this view doesn't really tell you much about the different segments of the flight. So I'm going to switch to this more tabular view. And so this one shows me on August 3rd that, yes, the first leg is in first class, so regional first class, and the second leg is in business class. There's 9+ seats on that flight. That's amazing. And it's 55,000 Alaska miles, so that's a great deal. Let's just see, is there anything even better available or something else that's worth considering in these results? So what I'm gonna do is say, let's say we don't want to fly American Airlines. Let's take American Airlines out of the list. And now we see that using Air Canada Aeroplan miles, we can fly to Paris for 70,000 points. But I'm laughing because so Denver to Frankfurt, Germany is in economy. And the so that's the 9.5 hour flight is in economy. And then the 1 hour, 15-minute flight from Frankfurt to Paris is in business class. So I don't want to see results like that. So let's change the premium cabin percentage to something fairly high, in the 60 something percent or 70, whatever. Okay. So now we see there are other options here, but they don't look great. Like, so for example, we could fly, if we had United Airlines miles, we could fly to Chicago in economy and then from Chicago to Frankfurt, Germany in business class on Lufthansa, and then Frankfurt to Paris from there for 88,000 miles. But anyway, the point is, I'm not seeing anything that I like a lot more than what we already found. And yeah, so we previously saw that there are nonstop flights from Denver to Paris, but they currently cost 111,000 points. Now, if your heart's set on one of those, what you could totally do, and this is what I would do if I was flying out of Denver, I would book that American Airlines flight because both American Airlines and Alaska let you cancel or make changes for free. So if I had those miles, I would book that, and then I would also set up an alert with any of these tools. They can all do this. Set up an alert for the Flying Blue flight, the nonstop flight on Air France, let's say for August 2nd, to see if that price comes down. So you can set up the alerts to say the max I'm willing to spend is, let's say, 70,000 points, and that you need four people. So that way you have a chance of getting a much better flight to Europe, better being in that it's nonstop, which would be really nice, of course. So that was AwardTool. AwardTool, even though it let us look across 32 days, we didn't really find anything better than what we found with PointsYeah's cache search capability. Depending on the situation, like if we hadn't found something good through that cache search capability, this ability to search across 32 days at once is really nice and can really get you out of a jam. But in this case, it didn't really matter. All right. So I think we've looked pretty much in depth at what PointsYeah can show us for this summer trip. We've looked in pretty much in depth what AwardTool can find for us, and what Seats.aero can find for us. Let's now go back to Roame.travel and just see if it finds anything else for us. So we'll see what Roame can find for us. I've set it up to search for business and first class for four people from Denver to Paris, and I've set the date for August 1st, but I also have turned on the ability for it to search plus or minus 3 days. And now I'll press search. Okay, it's done searching, and at the top we have that same August 3rd result of being able to use Alaska mileage plan miles to fly American Airlines. You can press the little down arrow to see details. It's first class from Denver to Charlotte, and then Charlotte to Paris from there in business class. So there you go with that. I'll just scroll down a little bit and see if it found anything else noteworthy for getting to Paris. Doesn't look like it. Just lots of American Airlines flights. So, like the other tools, this one didn't find anything particularly noteworthy for flying to Paris other than the American Airlines flight, which can be booked with either Alaska miles or American's own miles. You can also see that there's the Air France flight for 111,000 miles that you can find through this tool. All right. So where we're at now is that PointsYeah, did the best job of finding our outbound flight. So let's real quickly go through each tool to see which one can find us the best return flight. So I'm going to start now with Points, yeah, because that's where we had the best luck. I'll go to flights, and this time I'm going to just flip the search criteria to be Paris from Paris to Denver and set the dates. So remember, we're leaving August 3rd, so we'll be arriving August 4th. We want to stay at least a week. So we'll say willing to go back anywhere from um, the 11th to let's say the 17th. And PointsYeah, because I have the paid version, lets me do up to 8 day date range. And we'll press search. Okay, the search is done. It found on August 15th. There's a very similar flight going back the other way from Paris to Charlotte to Denver. And similar, you'd be going business class across the ocean and then regional first class to Denver for 55,000 Alaska miles. And there's more taxes and fees in this direction because most European airports do charge hefty fees just for the honor of flying from that airport. Scrolling down a bit to see if there's anything else particularly interesting. August 15th still. Let me say though, before we move on, before we move on to see if the other tools also find this or if they find anything better, that if we didn't find something that we particularly liked here, then my next step would be to go back to the cached search to search broader to do broader searches. So I'm going to go back to flight deals because there's two things I would do now if we didn't find that nice Paris to Denver flight. One is I would search from Paris to anywhere in North America, and then we could consider just booking um, another flight, a regional flight to get back to Denver, or I'd look for anywhere from Europe to Denver, and then we could always book a positioning flight within Europe and get to see multiple cities while we're in Europe, which actually could be a really good thing. So let's actually start with that idea, which is the idea of starting from anywhere in Europe, but going specifically to Denver and set the dates from August 11th to the 17th, meaning we're willing to fly back from Europe anywhere in that time range. And let's see, I'll set the number of seats to 4. And I'll set cabins to business and first class. Let's start with nonstop flights and see what we get. All right, didn't find anything with nonstop. Let's try any number of stops. Okay. So there are one stop, so I'm going to actually restrict it to one stop so that we don't see any more stops than that. And it's kind of interesting that it found Paris to Denver. What else did it find? It found London to Denver. Not great pricing though. Let's set the maximum points to 88,000. Yeah, I don't see anything particularly interesting there. So I think we just kind of lucked out, and one of the best options was available from Paris to fly directly to Denver. All right, let's check and make sure AwardTool doesn't find a better return flight than that. So we'll search from Paris to Denver, 4 people, one way, business and first class, but change the dates. All right, now it looks like AwardTool found the same American Airlines flight that PointsYeah found, and also did not find anything else interesting. All right, let's move on and just make sure Roame can also see that. So we'll do Paris to Denver. Um, we want to set the midpoint. Let's call the midpoint, yeah, the 14th should give us the right range because the 14th will be plus and minus 3 is what it'll let us search here. Ah, turn on the plus or minus 3 and search. All right. Looks like Rome found the exact same thing, 55,000 miles with Alaska miles, or it's more expensive with American miles to go in this direction. So you definitely want Alaska miles for this one. So PointsYeah, Rome, and AwardTool all found the same return flight. Let's now try Seats.aero and make sure that it also finds that. I'm going to use the search function and search Paris to Denver. I'll search August. Let's see, we want to come back anywhere between the 11th and the 17th. So I'll do the 14th plus or minus 3 days. I think that'll be right. And my advanced filters are still set to minimum 4 seats, business or first class cabin. All right, it's done searching. We'll sort by business class, and yep, we can see the same American Airlines flight booked with Alaska miles is available for 55,000 points. It's funny, now the other tools show this too. If you book with American Airlines miles, it's 72,500 points in this direction. Because American, for their own flights, does not have an award chart. They do have an award chart when you use their miles to book a partner's flights, but when you book American's own flights, they can charge whatever they want. And sometimes it's a really good price and sometimes it's not a good price. This is a fine price, but booking with Alaska is a better price for that same flight. So we looked at 4 different tools to see which one would be best for handling the scenario we had, which was to find business class for 4 people to go from Denver to anywhere in Europe over summer break. And what did we find? We found that the PointsYeah, the ability to search cached results through their travel deals section did the best job. It was the one that was able to find that there were great price flights for business class for 4 people to Paris from Denver. And that was looking broadly at Denver to anywhere in Europe. It was the only one that found that outright. But then now, when we were able to limit just Denver to Paris, all the tools did an equally good job of finding what were the best flights available for that, and for going back the other way, what were the best flights for going from Paris to Denver. So, my conclusion is when you are flexible about where you want to go to or where you want to come from, PointsYeah is a great starting place. PointsYeah, they used to call this Daydream Explorer, but now they call it Flight Deals. And the cool thing here too is that Flight Deals is free. That is, if you have the free version of PointsYeah, you can get the full capability of its Flight Deals feature. And I believe even the free version lets you set deal alerts. So let's say, imagine it hadn't come up with anything great for flying from Denver to Europe. You could have set up an alert to email you when something good does come up. Then once once you're past that step of like a broad search, when you want more specific search, all of these tools do a good job. I find that if you know specifically what program you want to use, like what kind of miles you want to use, I actually like Seats.aero best for its kind of explore feature. But it's best for nonstop flights, and where PointsYeah has it beat with their cache thing is that it searches both nonstop flights and these multi-stop flights, like the flight from Denver to Paris. And yeah. So anyway, I guess my point is, if you've already paid for a different tool, keep that. It'll still do a good job for your live searches for you, probably. But consider signing up for PointsYeah, at least the free version, if nothing else, so you can get this travel deals capability to do these broad searches when you need them.